Tropical waves continue to move across our area, but when is the next potential tropical development? Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you today. I hope you're doing well. A lot to get into in this video because we do have some active weather happening right now. Then we'll deep dive into the potential tropical development as we move through the latter part of this week. But right now, I want to talk about one of those tropical waves that's impacting our eastern areas. A mid-level circulation in association with a tropical wave is moving right over portions of the Leeward Islands as we speak across the entire Lesser Antilles, and is bringing some healthy downpours, scattered showers and thunderstorms, some gusty winds and elevated sea conditions. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, many of the islands in this area are under some kind of weather advisories. Watch out for the heavier downpours and those gusty winds. Some good thunderstorms right now over islands like Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, on over towards St. Bart's and Anguilla. You guys live in these areas. Again, good downpours, winds that could be 30 to 40 plus miles an hour, especially in some of the elevated areas. And rainfall totals that could be 2 to 3 inches just today. That's 50 to 75 millimeters. Again, individual island advisories will be scrolling at our information hub down below, so you get all of the latest information there. Winds are brisk as far south as Guadeloupe, Dominica, and Martinique, some of the other islands that currently are under some kind of weather advisories. This is the visible satellite imagery. You can see those thunderstorms just billowing up, and a good amount of lightning shows you that there's some instability in the atmosphere with this tropical wave that's moving through. So it's just an active weather day across the eastern Caribbean. It quiets down a little bit St. Lucia south towards Barbados, SVG, Grenada, portions of Trinidad and Tobago. But that being said, still seeing a few thunderstorms developing at the hour over the western sides of Trinidad. This was an area that had some healthy thunderstorms yesterday as well near Port of Spain. You guys live on the west coast of Trinidad, you're seeing some of these thunderstorms. Let me know in the comments section below. But again, it just shows you that it doesn't have to be an organized tropical system for us to have some impacts as well. This will traverse west and move over the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico tomorrow, and that's great news for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, areas that have been dry, areas that have been under some excessive heat, and that could use some additional downpours as well, and just some cooling weather moving through. So again, it's not a very large area here, but on the northern side of a tropical wave, we are getting some good downpours that will traverse off to the west as we get into our Wednesday. Another area of interest for today is going to be the heat and the thunderstorms developing through portions of the Bahamas, especially the northern Bahamas at the hour. Look at these thunderstorms getting going, but I'm going to bring on these temperatures because I have to talk about that for a minute as well. Actual air temperatures today in places like Nassau and Freeport, we're over 90 degrees, but that's only part of the story. The feels like temperatures there are well into the triple digits, 108 in Freeport. But there have been some areas of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos where the feels like numbers have hit 118 on an afternoon basis. Please be very cautious. You have to spend any time outdoors in the afternoon hours with those kind of heat advisories and temperatures that are into play right now. It's not a good scenario. But under that dome of heat, we're beginning to fire off some thunderstorms, especially right over the Abacos, Little Abaco back down towards Great Abaco, including Marsh Harbor. Look at the lightning count. Look at this, 400 lightning strikes in this view in just the past 15 minutes. These thunderstorms are going to try and slowly progress west, deeper into Grand Bahama and Walker's Key. Bimini could see some thunderstorms today. A few storms to develop over Andros at the hour. New Providence could see some thunderstorms. Same thing for Eleuthera. You get Cat Island south, Exuma, Rum Key, back down towards the Acklins and Mayaguana. I'm not expecting as much activity here for today, and it's a little bit drier air back to Turks and Caicos. When I show you guys the water vapor imagery, you'll see that tongue of red air in the moisture, at least right now, held at bay east rather than moving back over the islands. But we go farther to the north, and you can see that just in an isolated fashion, we've broken some of that heat dome or subsidence, a little bit more instability to the north there as we move through. But obviously some impressive storms there for today as well. We're quieting down in places like Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras today, but thunderstorms are still abound farther north across the Yucatan, mainly interior and western locations. We could see a few thunderstorms up Tulum, Cancun, and Cosmo's way, but Campeche and Merida, those are the areas with better thunderstorm chances. And look at that live lightning count here at Meteo Mundo. Again, over 1,700 lightning strikes this afternoon. If you guys have seen some of the storms, let me know in the comments section below. It's a quieter afternoon across the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. Can't rule out a couple of isolated showers here, but we're kind of in between tropical waves at the hour. When I show you guys where the tropical waves are on our analysis, you'll see the one wave again impacting the eastern Caribbean. Second wave is moving west of the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. Still could bring some thunderstorms back to the northern coastlines of Central America and the Yucatan for tomorrow. We're getting just enough lift from this stationary boundary and one to the north, providing a few thunderstorms over the Bahamas. And then we have our tropical wave train in the main development region of the Atlantic that we'll get into for the potential development down the road. But close to home right now, it's more localized showers and thunderstorms than anything else for right now. The ABC Islands, again, relatively quiet here. Again, all the information that you need as far as what's happening in your area can be found down below in our 5-day forecast, and of course, what's happening in our information hub as well. So now we're going to get into what's happening in that MDR of the Atlantic and what could be potentially developing down the road. First things first, things are still relatively quiet at the hour. Two waves I'll be monitoring for this week. You saw in the surface analysis, the one right now that's in the open waters of the MDR of the Atlantic, not really doing much. It could still hold together down the road. The more impressive one is going to be moving off of the West African coast tonight and through Wednesday. That one might be the one that holds together better as it traverses off to the west. Remember though, just like 92 and 94L, they're going to be fighting a lot of wind shear as they get into this part of the area. As we move on, a couple things I want to do. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me and subscribing. You got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Going to bring our marine forecast on for you guys, and we'll move on to our next weather headline is what is the next tropical potential. Well, I just showed you the current surface analysis and what's happening across the region with our satellite presentation, but let's take a look at the tropical models. I want to start off real quickly with what's happening with, first of all, the Saharan dust layer, okay? Now look, it's still relatively thick coming off the West African coast, but the winds just aren't going to be pushing it as far west this time of the year. A lot of the winds off the West African coast are more north to south, and that's why August, September, and October, we see these tropical waves become more robust. Now, of course, this is an El Nino pattern, and El Nino equals wind shear, which is a lot of wind at the surface, which rips apart these storms. But we could still see some signs of development, and this is the European AI version of the European models for this week and into next week. And by the time we get into next Thursday, you see a lot more potential on the map. First of all, the first system at least has a few markers for development down the road, right? Some of them in the northern sides of the Caribbean, others back into the Western Atlantic basin. Yet another tropical wave emerging off the West African coast early next week might be the most robust one in the next 7 to 10 days. That one will be far out into the Eastern Atlantic even by next Thursday, and something to monitor. Going to show you the same model right now, but a closer up version of the Caribbean, the Gulf, and the Western Atlantic. So same snapshot coming through. I want to highlight, if you look into the Gulf, that the European AI does have some potential development next week in the Central and the Western Gulf. This just cropped up today, so far basically only on this European AI model. I'll be monitoring that. We'll have to get run-to-run consistency with the European AI and have other models begin to kind of come in and hone in on that potential. Right now, I'm not too concerned about it, but I wanted to point it out because you can clearly see there's some stronger storms here on the European AI. Otherwise, again, that same snapshot with the potential, more of a spread all the way from the Dominican Republic back towards Bermuda with that first potential tropical system. Now, the GFS model here, oh, excuse me one second. There we go. The GFS model went by too fast. So same Caribbean view. I just want to show you that it does pick up a little bit of development early next week with the first wave, right? It's farther north and east than the kind of conglomerate of the European AI, and it's out there by itself right now. No development in the Gulf. I told you the European AI is the only one. So there's a little potential with the GFS AI for early next week, mainly north and east of the area, but it's something to closely monitor. Now we can talk about the significant wave heights because, again, this model is based off the GFS, so you will start to see that system move into the area. It could freshen up waves and winds across portions of the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands and Hispaniola. I do expect additional gale conditions to potentially develop down the road as well. So again, just brisker easterlies, but those easterlies can also rip apart these storms as they try and develop closer to the Lesser Antilles in the Western Atlantic. Now, let's talk talk about rain and how this is going to play out, because obviously we don't have to have organized systems to produce some healthier downpours and some problem spots. We've had that with the falling apart 92 and 94L. We've had it with additional tropical waves in the Central American gyre here in the southern side of Costa Rica and Panama. Do expect this to become active again by the weekend. Watch that rain work its way up Nicaragua and Honduras. So places like Roatan, Utila, Guanaja likely to get back into better rain chances starting on Thursday and Friday. Some scattered showers over Belize City and San Pedro and portions of Quintana Roo. Scattered rain is possible for Jamaica, but still not a huge conglomerate of showers and storms for my friends at Kingston, Port Moore, and Spanish Town. I know the southeast side of the island continues to be dry. The large wave and strong wind advisory continues for the offshore waters, including Morant Bank, and gale conditions are possible in the open waters of the Caribbean south of Jamaica as well. Scattered rain for Little Cayman, Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac, not a ton, but a few scattered showers here. Ultimately going to see rain chances get a little bit better northwest sides of the Bahamas and all the Bahamas in general. We're just moistening back up the atmosphere here, so am expecting there to be a little bit better rain chances for places like New Providence and Grand Bahama on up towards Walker's Key. You live on Grand Turk, it's a couple of isolated showers at best for the most part. Now, Grand Turk could get a few showers out of the, again, mid-level spin that's currently over portions of the Leeward Islands. A better, more direct impact will be brisk winds and passing showers for places like Roatan, Tortola, Anegada, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Vieques, Culebra, Puerto Rico, and the eastern sides of the Dominican Republic. Moistening things up. Great news. Heat advisories continue here. Feels like temperatures 105 plus in the afternoon hours. We need more rain in this area. Look, I'm not saying it's going to be a bucket's worth, but at least there'll be some better scattered showers across the islands late Tuesday and into Wednesday, maybe even early on Thursday. After we have that center of circulation move away, we'll continue to just see the easterlies provide the opportunity for a few more showers. Remember, there's more tropical waves off to the east of this area, and despite the fact that those aren't likely to develop tropically, they'll continue to provide more moisture and the opportunity for some better scattered showers and thunderstorms. So rainfall totals over the next 5 days look like this. You can see the potential beginning to develop for the Bahamas here. You can see the more widespread showers with locally heavier downpours in portions of the Lesser Antilles. Better rain chances for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, higher rain totals. Still, your best chance for more significant rain down the road is going to be back into portions of Central America. Notice that by Sunday, there is some heavier rain in the Northeast Gulf. That is what the next boundary that's going to try and stall out in the Northern Gulf, and that is what the European AI model is trying to hone in on at potentially developing a low-level center off of that decaying boundary in the Northern Gulf. That is still a possibility this time of the year and something I'll be watching very closely for you guys. So again, recapping the scenario across the area right now, heavier thunderstorms across our eastern zones, nice little mid-level spin with a lot of tropical moisture there. Thunderstorms abound in the northern sides of the Bahamas. Some of these have a lot of lightning, so be very cautious. Obviously, keep a very close eye on the heat and limit that exposure to the outdoors in the afternoon hours if you can. I'll be watching the rest of the main development region in the Atlantic for signs of potential tropical development starting as early as late this weekend, but maybe into early next week. Friends, I am out of time. Thank you for making Meteo Mundo a part of your routine. You got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Again, thank you for subscribing. You have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with the latest.